Hello friends, welcome to EduTap and welcome to the series that we have started exclusively for the upcoming UPSC EPFO 2025 examination, wherein we'll be doing 15 MCQs a day, as part of which today we are going to see in this session Industrial Conflicts and Disputes Part 2. Now when it comes to this series is important both for your APFC and EO or AO examination. Now when we talk about industrial relations and labor laws, ये one of the important topics है, क्योंकि out of 120 questions 15 plus questions are asked from these topics only, and with that you can see it's a very good number, and the kind of weightage that it has got, it is also very high एंड हाई स्कोरिंग पोटेंशियल एज वेल, क्योंकि अगर आप बेसिक्स भी बहुत सही तरीके से आप लोग कर लोगे इन टॉपिक्स का, तो बहुत आसानी से 10 प्लस क्वेश्चंस आप आराम से कर सकते हो. सो आई सजेस्ट यू टू गो थ्रू दिस सेशंस रेगुलरली सो दैट यू कैन यूटिलाइज दिस in your exam preparation, and all the content that we are covering in this series will be in the form of MCQs. So आपका एक practice भी हो जाएगा and revision भी हो जाएगा, and moreover we are expecting the notification of UPSC EPFO 2025 very soon. So with this, let me start today's session. So moving on to our first question. In a textile factory, workers are dissatisfied with the management's decision to lay off employees without prior notice. In protest, they surrounded the plant manager's office, refusing to let him leave until their demands are heard. The next day, an even larger group of workers forcibly takes control of the factory premises, barring entry of all managerial staff and preventing operations from resuming. Now, which form of protest do these actions best represent? So now here in simpler terms, they're actually सबसे पहले इसमें ऑर्डिनरी घेराव जो उन्होंने पूरा उनको कब्जे में ले लिया, एंड दे हैव रिफ्यूज्ड दैट प्लांट मैनेजर्स ऑफिस जो है, एंड रिफ्यूजिंग टू लेट हिम गो अंटिल देयर डिमांड्स आर हर्ड. सो ऑर्डिनरी घेराव है ये. नेक्स्ट आता है हमारा पूरा मैनेजरियल स्टाफ को उन्होंने घेराव कर लिया, मतलब इवन ओनर एंड ऑल दैट, प्रिवेंटिंग देम फ्रॉम for the operations to resume and all that. So in this case it would be encirclement in depth, क्योंकि वो owners managerial staff तक चले गए हैं, and they are trying to avoid them to take up any work or resume the operations, and they're not letting them to go also, so that they can hear their demands. So here in this case C is the correct answer. So moving on to our next question. In response to a newly introduced labor law that reduces workers' benefits, unions across multiple industries in a metropolitan area coordinated large-scale strike, bringing public transportation, manufacturing and essential services to a halt. Meanwhile, a group of workers from a supplier company refuses to deliver raw materials to a major automobile manufacturer, indirectly pressurizing the company to intervene and support the workers' demands. Now, what types of strikes are being demonstrated in this scenario? Now, इसमें सबसे पहले आप देखेंगे तो यू विल फील लाइक इट्स ए पॉलिटिकल स्ट्राइक, क्योंकि लेबर लॉस इंट्रोड्यूस हुए हैं एंड ऑल दैट. सो हियर इन दिस केस वी आर talking about general strike, because here the strike is being done so that to create political pressure on the government, and so in a sense they're similar to political strikes only, but inke against someone is supporting, okay, so that their demands can be heard, or they can be they can be realized. Okay, so in this case the other team जो कि है यहाँ पे supplier company, okay, बिल्कुल workers from the supplier company जो अलग है, but they are also somehow trying to help them out by stopping the raw material. So ये हो गया हमारा secondary strike. ओके, सो ये एक्चुअली इनके थ्रू कहीं पे भी डायरेक्टली बिल्कुल लिंक नहीं है. सिंपैथेटिक स्ट्राइक में क्या है, उसी कंपनी के जो दूसरे वर्कर्स है, दूसरे डिवीजन के वर्कर्स है, वो सिंपैथाइज करते हुए इनके लिए स्ट्राइक कर रहे हैं. सो वो हो गया सिंपैथेटिक. यहाँ पे एक मतलब मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट है, रॉ मटेरियल्स है, या फाइनल कस्टमर्स जहाँ पे ये फाइनल सेल आउट होता है, अगर वो इसी चेन में दूसरे अगर जो पहलू या फिर यू कैन से दूसरे चेन लिंक्स अगर इनके लिए हेल्प कर रहे हैं, इन दैट केस इट वुड बी ए सेकेंडरी स्ट्राइक. सो इन दिस केस जो सबसे एप्ट फिट बैठता है वो है जनरल स्ट्राइक का ऑप्शन एंड सेकेंडरी स्ट्राइक. सो हियर इन दिस केस बी इज द करेक्ट ऑप्शन. Moving on to our next question. A political party calls for a shutdown of all activities, including public and private businesses, to protest against a government policy. Although the call does not explicitly threaten violence against those who do not participate, there are reports of intimidation and threats against individuals who attempted to defy the shutdown. Okay, now what is this type of protest called as? See, यहाँ पे when we talk about such protest, दो terms हमें याद रखना पड़े. एक तो जनरल स्ट्राइक जो अभी हमने देखा है, which is also called as हड़ताल. नो हड़ताल जनरली या फिर जनरल स्ट्राइक जनरली इज पीसफुल वर्क स्टॉपेज. ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ हम लोग प्रेशराइज कर रहे हैं. नो, द वर्कर्स आर प्रेशराइजिंग समवन टू वर्क और टू स्टॉप देयर वर्क ऑन देयर बिहाफ. पीसफुली दे सजेस्ट. ओके, ये हो गया. बंद वो है कि फोर्स शटडाउन ऑफ नॉर्मल एक्टिविटीज. अगर उनको पसंद नहीं भी है तो बिकॉज ऑफ सम कोएसिव फोर्सेस जाके वहां से बंद करवाते हैं, बोलते हैं ना बंद करवा रहे हैं. Okay, so that, so here in this case the one which we are looking at it entire context, that is pointing towards band. Okay, so here C is the correct answer. Moving on to our next question. During an ongoing wage dispute in a manufacturing plant, the workers refused to accept the management's proposed salary structure and continued their strike. Okay, negotiations fail हो गया. In response, the management announced that the factory would remain closed until the workers withdrew their demands and agreed to negotiate under the employer's terms. This led to a prolonged standoff with workers unable to enter the premises and production coming to a halt. What does the scenario best illustrate? See, in this case, illegal closure नहीं, क्योंकि employers ने permanently business shutdown नहीं किया, only temporarily. Okay, that would be called as a lockout. तो यहाँ पे एम्प्लॉयर ने लॉकआउट किया है, wherein employer has temporarily closed the workplace to pressurize the workers. ये lockout actually it is a weapon in the hands of the employers. In contrast, अगर closure देखेंगे, closure अगर word use करेंगे, it means a permanent shutdown of the business. Okay, ये बिल्कुल किसी जनरल स्ट्राइक या पिकेटिंग के लिए टर्म उसके रिलेटेड नहीं है. This is something where the employers has done this rather than the to put pressure on the employees. So here in this case B is the correct answer. Moving on to our next question. A large textile factory was facing ongoing tensions between the workers and the management over wage revisions. The workers demanding higher pay went on strike. In response, the management decided to temporarily close the factory and suspend all work until the employees agreed to negotiate. The workers unable to enter the premises sought legal recourse and cited a specific section of the Industrial Disputes Act 1947 which defines this action. Okay, ये अगर यहाँ देखा है तो लॉकआउट डिक्लेयर किया गया है. नाउ ये किसी one of these sections, under one of these sections it has been mentioned under the Industrial Disputes Act 1947 and वो section है section 2(1) under which lockout किस तरह से कर सकते हैं, उसके बाद उसको किस तरह से workers negotiate कर सकते हैं या फिर legal action ले सकते हैं, that all has been mentioned under this section. Moving on to our next question. Which of the following statements regarding the recording of industrial conflicts in India is correct? Now, industrial relation missionaries जो भी रहेंगे सेंटर में, स्टेट लेवल में, which are under the aegis of the Ministry of Labor and Employment, continuously they have to work to create or to maintain a harmonious industrial relations in the country, as part of which the Department of Labor in states and union territories and regional labor commissioners of the central level, okay, they are responsible for collecting the basic information in respect to the various work stoppages that are affecting the industrial units, especially the big units, primary units. Such information should be furnished in standard format to the Labor Bureau, Ministry of Labor and Employment on or before 25th of each succeeding month. Okay, and ये इसमें क्या क्या होता है, even they will include the temporary work stoppages which have occurred in that unit because of strikes, lockouts, घेराव. अगर घेराव फॉलोड बाय लॉकआउट्स ऐसे कुछ भी है तो दे हैव टू मेंशन, बट अगेन देयर इज वन कैच हियर, इसमें द इन्वॉल्व्ड वर्कर्स, नंबर ऑफ वर्कर्स शुड बी 10 और मोर, तभी ये वहां पे उनको सबमिट करना पड़ेगा इन द डिटेल्ड फॉर्मेट, वॉट एवर द फॉर्मेट दैट दे हैव गिवन. वही वर्क स्टॉपेजेस विच इन्वॉल्व्स लेस देन 10 वर्कर्स, दे आर नॉट इंक्लूडेड इन सच रिकॉर्ड्स अलॉन्ग विथ, अगर पॉलिटिकल स्ट्राइक से, सिंपैथेटिक डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन से, ये सब भी उसमें इंक्लूड करने की जरूरत नहीं है. ये बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन है. Now, all work stoppages including political strikes and sympathetic demonstrations mandatorily recorded by Labour Bureau. No. Regional Labour Commissioner, Central and State Labour Departments are not responsible for collecting. Is no, ये भी नहीं है वो. They are also as part of this machinery only. The Ministry of Labour and Employment records all conflicts, including temporary disagreement between employees and the management, even if they do not lead to work stoppages. No, only if lead to work stoppages. उसमें भी 10 workers से ज़्यादा involved है तो ही होगा. And that too they have to, the records have to be maintained by the Ministry of Labour and Employment, and reports must be submitted on or before 25th of each succeeding month to the respective Labour Bureau. So this one is true. So here B is the correct answer. Moving on to our next question. Industrial disputes can have far-reaching consequences beyond the immediate conflict between the workers and employees. Conflict तो बस अभी start ही हुआ है, negotiate करके उसको कर सकते हैं, लेकिन dispute हो गया उसमें तो बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत हो जाएगी. Now, which of the following scenarios best highlights the multi-dimensional impact of such dispute? देखते हैं statements. A group of factory workers goes on strike demanding better wages, leading to temporary loss of workers, but eventually resulting in revised wage agreement. ये एक्चुअली डिस्प्यूट वाला है नहीं. ओके, a company experienced a strike causing a temporary dip in production. However, after negotiations the workers return and the company quickly recovers its losses. ये भी नहीं है. This is not the multidimensional impact of that dispute. An industrial dispute leads to a legal battle between the trade union and management, but production continues as usual, minimizing its economic impact. ऐसा नहीं है. Okay, so here a prolonged industrial dispute in a manufacturing plant leads to work stoppage, triggering a supply chain disruption, loss of investors' confidence and increased unemployment in the region. ये true है, क्योंकि जब भी dispute होता है ये सारे these are the major consequences actually. So जितने भी options है, okay, बाकी सब options में किस तरह से either how they are coming out of that or how they are facing that उस तरह से दिया है, but this is the one that actually is bringing out the true scenario of the multi-dimensional impact of any industrial dispute that has on both the employees, employer सबके ऊपर रहता है and overall economy के ऊपर भी चला जाता है अगर if this is for a larger industry. Moving on to our next question. A well-known electronics company faced a major industrial dispute when its factory workers went on a strike, demanding better wages and working conditions. As the strike prolonged, production came to a halt, delaying the launch of a highly anticipated product, जो करने वाले थे. Investors started pulling out and customers turned to competitors. The company also had to bear fixed operational costs despite zero output, क्योंकि obviously वहाँ machinery run नहीं भी हो रहा है तो उनका maintenance का तो लगेगा ही उनको. What is the most critical impact of such an industrial dispute on the employer? Now we are talking about इसका critical impact क्या है. The dispute has no real impact on the company as production can resume at full capacity once the strike ends. ये false है क्योंकि उस time पे जो loss हुआ है that is a loss. Fixed cost remain the same, but with no production the company's financial burden increases. ये तो true है, but it is not bringing out the true essence of the impact of this situation. The strike only affects the workers and the employer can easily replace them with new employees. ये भी नहीं है, okay, because it affects everyone in the chain. The employer's reputation is at risk, leading to customer loss and negative public perspective. ये this is very much true क्योंकि this is what that is a critical impact. बाकी सब तो financial losses and all that in due course of time they can वो फिर उसको cover कर सकते हैं, but customer loss, negative publicity इनको फिर revive करना मतलब बहुत मेहनत वाला काम है. So here D is the correct answer. Moving on to our next question. During a nationwide transportation workers strike, the supply of essential goods including food and medicines was severely disrupted. Small businesses relying on daily stock replenishments struggle to operate, and consumers face difficulties in obtaining basic necessities. Meanwhile, industries that depended on the transportation of raw materials and distribution experienced production delays, impacting their overall profitability. Now, what is the most significant long-term economic consequence of such industrial disputes? अभी आप देख रहे हो पिछले 3-4 क्वेश्चन से हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि completely applied questions. So until unless you understand the situation completely or the concept completely, इस तरह के questions clear करना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है. So for this जो content है उसको आप सही तरीके से पढ़ लीजिए and try to understand that, based on which you can cover or you can solve these kind of questions. So इसमें क्या है, लॉन्ग टर्म इकोनॉमिक कॉन्सिक्वेंस पूछ रहे हैं, ऐसा नहीं कि इमीडिएट वाला. सो लेट्स हैव अ लुक एट द ऑप्शंस. Consumers have temporarily inconvenienced but business operations return to normal after the strike. वो तो होना ही है, no doubt, but long term impact क्या हुआ वो नहीं दिखा रहा है यहाँ पे. So ये है false. Only the directly affected industry suffers while others remain unaffected. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, because either in one way or the other all are suffering because of this. क्योंकि बिल्कुल ट्रांसपोर्टेशन वर्कर्स का स्ट्राइक है, मतलब कुछ भी एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जा ही नहीं रहा है. सो ये भी फॉल्स है. The strikes only impact the employer and employees. The broader economy remains stable. ऐसा नहीं है, because everything is linked. अगर कहीं पे रॉ मटेरियल्स नहीं पहुंचे, वहाँ प्रोडक्शन बंद हो गया. ओके, तो प्रोडक्शन बंद हो गया मतलब वहाँ ओवरऑल इकोनॉमी पे भी बहुत इफेक्ट पड़ेगा. सो दिस इज ऑल्सो फॉल्स. द डिस्ट्रप्शंस एक्सटेंड बियॉन्ड द स्ट्राइकिंग वर्कर्स, इम्पैक्टिंग सप्लायर्स, बिजनेसेस एंड ओवरऑल इकोनॉमिक प्रोडक्टिविटी. ये ट्रू है, बिकॉज ओवरऑल जो मतलब जो महीने में 100 यूनिट्स बनाने वाला है, बट अभी बिकॉज ऑफ दिस दे वर एबल टू डू ओनली 80 और 85 यूनिट्स. सो लॉस ही है जो 15 to 20 यूनिट्स का है. Okay, so that is the economic impact that it is having. So here C is the correct answer. A new labor law is passed by the government introducing changes to wage structures and working hours. In response, workers from various industries across the country united and staged mass protests, refusing to work until the law is reconsidered. The aim is to pressure the government into revoking or amending the legislation. Such a strike organized against government policies or laws is known as simple. बहुत straightforward question है ये. Simple, it is a political strike where these people they are striking to to put pressure on the government or the policy maker so that they can revoke or amend the legislation. A major automobile company announces a new policy that reduces overtime wages, sparkling unrest among the workers. In response, factory workers along with the employees from supplier companies refused to work for a day as a sign of protest. एक दिन के लिए, so as to mark the solidarity की तरह. Although the suppliers are not directly affected by the wage cut, they join the movement in solidarity with the factory workers. Now, this type of collective action is best categorized under. Now, यहाँ पे उनके ऊपर कुछ लॉस नहीं आ रहा, बट स्टिल जस्ट टू सपोर्ट देम एक दिन के लिए दे सेड दैट ओके फॉर वन डे वी आर इन सॉलिडारिटी विथ यू, दैट वी आर सपोर्टिंग यू, वी आर स्ट्राइकिंग. सो इन दिस केस दिस इज कॉल्ड एज द सिंपैथेटिक स्ट्राइक. सिंपल, ये भी बहुत स्ट्रेट क्वेश्चन है. So friends, hope you have liked this session, and before winding up I have a small announcement. Currently EduTap is offering various courses for all those students who are targeting the upcoming UPSC EPFO 2025 examination for both APFC and EO or AO post. Now let's have a quick look at the courses that they are offering. First है मास्टर कोर्स है. यहाँ पे ये उन बच्चों के लिए है जो प्रिपरेशन अभी स्टार्ट किया है, और दे आर लुकिंग एट 1 point source of all the material that is required for to fulfill their preparation completely. तो उनके लिए बेस्ट है. All the content would be provided to you in the form of PDFs, MCQs, videos, strategic sessions every Thursday to be precise. कुलदीप सर will be taking an online session जहाँ पे वो आपको स्ट्रैटेजी समझाएंगे कि किस तरह से इतना बहुत ज़्यादा कंटेंट होगा उसको किस तरह से आप यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं अपने प्रिपरेशन के लिए, एंड ऑन द अदर हैंड जो भी आपके डाउट्स है वो सब रिजॉल्व करेंगे. दूसरा कोर्स है टेस्ट सीरीज प्लस. ये उन बच्चों के लिए है जो कुछ टॉपिक्स और सब्जेक्ट्स तो खुद ही पढ़ लेते हैं, लेकिन कुछ सब्जेक्ट्स के लिए वो देखते रहते हैं कि कुछ कोर्स मिल जाए तो उनके लिए बहुत बढ़िया रहेगा, उनको बहुत हेल्पफुल रहेगा. उस तरह से कुछ जो सब्जेक्ट्स उनको चाहिए वो, प्लस टेस्ट सीरीज, वो पूरा इसमें मिल जाएगा ताकि उनका प्रैक्टिस भी हो जाए और रिवीजन भी हो जाए अलॉन्ग विद दोस न्यू सब्जेक्ट्स। तीसरा है टेस्ट सीरीज, ये उन बच्चों के लिए है जो ऑलरेडी एक सीजन निकाल दिए हैं प्रिपरेशन में, ओके, बट नाउ दे आर लुकिंग एट सम प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चंस, कुछ प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चंस चाहिए, रियल एग्जाम फील जैसा मॉक टेस्ट चाहिए विद द सेम लेवल ऑफ एंड टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस, तो ये उनके लिए बहुत बेनिफिशियल है। इफ़ यू हैव एनी क्वेरी यू कैन ऑलवेज रीच आउट टू द टीम मेंबर्स, और आपके जो भी डाउट्स है वो क्लैरिफाई कर सकते हैं, एंड देन अकॉर्डिंगली यू कैन मेक अ डिसीजन ऑफ विच course you can choose. Thank you very much. Hope you have liked this session. See you all with another session very soon. Thank you once again.